So again, Dan Baumann here with Chief Experts Academy and John Schrader with John Schrader Design. And what is the name of your company, John?
John Schrader Construction.
Okay. What's the new one you have with your daughter?
We're talking about 3D design.
That's right. Yeah.
Dad and daughter design.
I like that one.
John, what do you
John,
think about that, everybody?
yeah, that'd be a good comment to hear. John is doing a lot of work with his daughter, and that would be cool. I like it. I think you should go for it. And your daughter is just doing an amazing job. And she's probably on the call here today. So, I'm sure she likes that idea too.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about today about sharing files and what that's all about, because I know a lot of people have questions about that. A lot of people already get it and are using it effectively. Some people are still struggling with it and how it works. And, I run into with my clients, I work with a lot of contractors, a lot of homeowners, and every now and then we try to get going on Dropbox and people just don't get it. So let's discuss that a little bit. And okay, is it switching? There it goes.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about what is cloud storage. I think people get really confused about this, and it's really all it is in its simplest sense. All right, is that on your computer you have a little thing called a hard drive. On that hard drive is where you keep all of your stuff. All right, all your files, all your pictures, everything gets stored on a hard drive. All right, I always like to say computers are not a place to put things. Computers are a place to find things. All right, so you want to keep your files organized much like you would in a file cabinet, so that if you have folders and you have names on the folders and you're putting specific things in each folder, you do the same thing on your computer. And I know most people in this day and age have that pretty well under control, but I know there's still a bunch of people that still struggle with how that works. And my best advice to you would be and it's going to be the same advice I'm going to give you all throughout the talk today, is Google how to do file management on your computer. And you'll come up with a ton of different things, especially if you do it in YouTube, because there will be people out there teaching you how to do file management on YouTube, a lot of that information. All right, so how does cloud storage work? Well, you've got your devices that you have files on, that you have things that you use in your business, chief architect files, CAD files, pictures, whatever they are. All right, what you do with cloud storage is you rent some hard drive space online, okay? Is all you're doing. So no matter which one of the platforms you're doing this with, iCloud, Dropbox, OneDrive, doesn't matter. You're basically renting, or you're being given some hard disk space online. Hence, they call it the cloud, because to get to that online hard drive, you have to go through the internet to get to it. So you don't have physical access to that computer. All right, so there you go. So now you're starting to store some files online. And the way that almost all of these services work, all right, if this is your online hard drive, okay, you're renting a little bit of space in that server, in some Amazon server farm somewhere, which I think is probably where most people do it. You got your IBM server farms, you got your Apple server farms, you got your Microsoft server farms. It's just huge buildings full of computers where data is stored. All right, and you're accessing a little bitty space on that computer. So once you get to that space, you can tell that application that you use, in this case, I'm just showing Dropbox, that when I put a file on this computer, it's going to go up to that little space on that hard drive. And then what's going to happen is it's going to feed it back to my other devices that I've told it to feed it to. All right, so that's what it happens. So it doesn't matter which device you're on. When you put a file there, if you're going over an existing file, it's going to put it back on your devices, on all your devices. So all your files on all your devices are up to date at the same time. Now, when you're collaborating with others, like John and I have shared folders that we put things in. So when he puts something in it, I get it. When I put something in it, he gets it. So John will have his Dropbox or his account over here. I'll have my account over here. And what we can do from our device is say, I want John to have access to a folder on my account. This account will automatically send it to John, and John will have it on all of his devices that he's said to put it on. And vice versa. If he puts a file here, it'll send it to me. That's all that's happening. Nothing more, nothing less. It's really simple when you think about it. So it doesn't matter what service you're using. So let's just talk.
So here's just a word of caution that I'll probably mention again is you cannot, and that I'm looking for a system that will do this, an app that will do this, but you cannot open the file twice simultaneously. Otherwise, you'll get a conflicted copy in your work. So you could even do that yourself if you left the file open on your desktop.
Yeah. And
then went somewhere and worked on your laptop and opened it again. You left it open on your desktop, you open it again, you're going to have a conflicted copy.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing you need to be aware of.
So I know a lot of people on the call are smaller businesses. They have, a few people, or you're like me and John, where we just have us and maybe one or two other people that we are sharing a lot of things with all the time. So I'm going to open a file, work on it, and close it, and it's going to update on my devices. I don't have to worry about having conflicted copies unless I'm working on it on my computer, and then I have it open and I go work on my laptop and I open the same file and work on it.
Right.
Now I've got the same file open twice, which you can do. The trouble is when you do that, whichever one opened it first will have control of that file. So if I open it on my laptop separately and I save it, what Dropbox is going to do is create what's called a conflicted copy. All right. So it won't write over the original one. It just can't do that. So it recognizes when it's open. What we really want is, what we're looking for is file locking. So when the first person's opens the file, no one else can open that file. That's the ideal. That'd be the ideal situation. Okay. Chief's not built to have multiple people working on the same file at the same time. Never has. I know they talked about it. We'll see. It's not like AutoCAD where multiple people can work on the same file at the same time. I think there's a lot of other applications that can do that too. When you get into Google Docs, you get into Microsoft Docs, you get into all these different applications. You can work on the same document at the same time, and it'll show you who's active on those documents. But let's just talk a little bit about Dropbox and what it does. And so when I look at my computer, I've got a Dropbox folder on it. Okay. And what happens with a lot of people is they don't actually download the Dropbox folder to their computer. All right. So what you want to be aware of and what you want to do when you're working with Dropbox. So let me just go into my account here. So I'm going to click on a folder and I'm going to go view on Dropbox. All right. So let me just show you something real quick that I want you to be aware of. That'll make your life a lot simpler. Okay, so when you're in Dropbox, see, what did I do here? Let me put this back over here. Okay, so when you're on Dropbox, the one thing that I think a lot of people miss, now when you set up an account and you get there and it's going to say, hey, you come and download this file. Well, if you don't do that, you have to go back to your account and do this. So if you look at your account, you see a little circle up here and I put my logo on it. And when you click on that, you get this little drop down. Okay. So what you want to be aware of, there's this, a couple of buttons here. It's going to show you how much space you've used. So I've used 1.6 of my 203 terabyte drive that I'm renting, hard drive space. It's 120 a year, John. Is that what Dropbox is?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I also did get I opted in for another $20 add-on, which saves any deleted files for a year. Because I believe by default with Dropbox, if a file or folder gets deleted, so maybe someone else accidentally deleted their folder or intentionally deleted their folder, and they didn't give you the option of saving it, you've got a year to go back and get that information. So not a bad investment. There's been a bunch of times I've used that and I'm glad I had it. So the one thing you want to be aware of is installing. Click the install setting right here. So if you're in Dropbox, click install and you want to install that on your computer, and that'll put the Dropbox within your folder structure. Okay, if you're on Mac, it's going to look a little different, but it's the same exact concept. Okay, it's going to actually put the folders on your computer. So now I don't really ever have to go to Dropbox.com. Everything that I put on my computer will automatically sync to the cloud. So everything that I have in my Dropbox folder, all of this stuff is automatically put online, and it's automatically put on any of my other devices, my laptop. I have another desktop that I have my Dropbox on, put in all those accounts at the same time. And then like with John, I know we share some different folders. Like if, you see the little picture of the people on the icon, that means I'm sharing that folder with someone, or something in that folder with someone. You don't have to share the whole folder. You can share parts of it. So I'm sharing that with someone. So when you click on that, so you can right click on any folder at any time within your Dropbox. I don't think this works. Does that work with when you're not in the Dropbox folder?
I'm not sure. I always just go to my Dropbox folder.
I do too, but I see I'm clicking on one that's not in my Dropbox, and it does look like it works. I've never tried that either. I just always keep everything in my Dropbox so I don't mix them up all over my computer. But at any time, what you could do is right click on any folder. You can hit share, and that will open up a little window. You can type in someone's email address and put a little note. You can specify if they can edit or just view it, so that maybe you just want someone to view the files and you don't want them to be able to change anything. And you hit share, and they'll get a message. Once they click OK on their message, it'll put your information on their computer. If they make changes, it'll automatically be put back on your computer. So it's really simple to use once you get it set up and get you working with it, and it really does work well. So,
and if they have a Dropbox account, it actually will store that same file on their Dropbox. So if I share a folder with Dan, that folder name and the whole folder is going to be shared on his Dropbox, in his Dropbox file right there. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
So I can initiate a folder. I can call it Dan and John's favorite things to do. And if I share that with you and you have a Dropbox account, it's automatically going to put that folder on your account.
Right.
So you can start putting stuff in there anytime you want to. And so
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it really does work nice. So if you guys aren't doing it, I'd highly recommend it. Now, there's lots of other applications you can do this with. Let me show you one more thing about Dropbox before I move on here. Let's see if I can show you this. Where'd it go? Where'd my Dropbox icon go?
It's not down on the bottom right of your screen.
No, where'd it go? There it is. I'm not looking quite at it. What I was looking for, let me just show you a little picture of this. Okay, what I was looking for in the bottom right corner of my screen was this little bitty icon. It'll be there, or it might be in here. And again, on a Mac, I have no idea how it works. So, so you just go to your Dropbox account, and so when I'm here, I can click on that, and it will open up the Dropbox preferences, which I cannot move over. All right, let me just do this picture. Shoot. Let me see if I can switch screens here. Let me stop sharing. Okay. Stop that. Let me switch to a different screen. Not that one, not that one. This one. Okay, now you can see it. All right, so there it is. So now you can see this at the bottom. You seeing that, John?
Yep.
Okay, good. So there's my little Dropbox icon. So when I click on that, it's going to bring up this menu here, and it's going to show me that I have some things unread and like that. And when I click on the little circle over here, it'll be your logo, maybe what your picture, whatever you put in. You have an option called preferences. This is really an important one to remember for your other devices that you're putting this on, because I have a laptop and I don't want to put a whole terabyte of my files on my laptop. I just want to put the projects that I'm working on or a few other things on my laptop. I don't need my entire Dropbox account on my laptop. So when I go there and I go here and I go to Preferences, it's going to bring this window open. And in this window, you will have a thing called Sync. Now, here's all the different things you can do to your account. I'm not going to get into any of that stuff. The only thing I want to show you is Sync, and I want to show you Selective Sync. All right, this little button right here. So it's this icon over here, Sync and Selective Sync. And when you get there, you go to Selective Sync, and what will happen is this little window will populate with all of your folders that you have. Okay, so there's all of the folders, and you'll notice on my desktop, everything is checked in. All right, so if I said, on my desktop, I really don't need to have all my photos, or don't need to have these older plans, and this is what I do on my laptop, is I only check in the things that I want to sync on my laptop, not with my desktop. Not with the entire account. So you can just check those on and off, and it really works well. So you can minimize your storage quite a bit. Now, John and I were talking last week a little bit about the ability for Dropbox to not even put the files on your computer, but you're just you're seeing them on your computer, but they're not really there. When you click on them in the cloud, when you click on it, I think the cloud accidentally or absolutely then puts the file on your system or something. I'm not even quite sure how it works. So
you can do it per folder or per file. Another way too, that's if you go right click on the folder or file and go down to Smart Sync. You can either have it do, I forget what the terms are. One is local. If you click the local option, it will store it on the Dropbox and your computer.
Okay.
If you click on the other option, it only stores it on the cloud.
You're right. And I'm not going to get into that. I just want to show you some basic things. So again, highly recommend. I mean, we've only got a little bit of time here. You want to learn more about this, get to your Google search and, how do you sync files for Dropbox? How does Dropbox work for beginners? You guys, it's all there. You don't need us to tell you how to do it, even though we like telling you, but we like showing you.
Yeah. So the Dropbox is a paid subscription. The OneDrive comes up if you have a Microsoft 365 account. It comes with it.
Yes.
So that's the kinds of things you need to weigh out.
So I love the Microsoft system. Actually, I use 3 of these. I have the Google, I have Microsoft, I have Dropbox. So when I go to my live account, it's live.com. You can get the Microsoft apps. I don't know if I'll be logged in here or not. That's my email. So I would need to go here and go to my account. All right. So when you get to your live account, hopefully there's nothing important here that you guys need to know about. What you'll have is a subscription to the Microsoft 365 family of information. And basically what you get is you get 5 copies of all of Microsoft's applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, any of those applications that you might use in your business. And you can put them on 5 different computers, and it's $109 a year for 5 licenses. Is that right, John?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So here's the apps right here. And each of those licenses gets 1 terabyte of storage. And they might have even increased that recently. I don't even know. So when you log into your account, it's 107.51 a year. So when you 99 plus tax. You'll get to a screen where it shows you which devices it's put on here. It says installs. So I have it on 6 computers, but I have it deactivated on one of them. So you can activate and deactivate it anytime you want, much like Chief. You can activate it on one computer you're using on, deactivate it if you don't want to use it. The apps that you download from the Play Store and from the iPhone where you get your iPhone stuff. You can get the Microsoft Word, Excel, and all that stuff on all of your devices, your phone, your iPads, your tablets. Laptops and computers are different. Those wouldn't require you download the whole thing, I think. Plus, I think you can even use all the apps in a browser, if I'm not mistaken. And it's really fabulous. I mean, it's just like you're using the actual application. So I really like using both of those. I type Word documents on my phone all the time, and it works great. You just can't beat it. It really works well. I also use OneNote. OneNote is a fabulous application I've been using a lot lately, and I've been really, that's how I keep track of everything that I'm working on these days. It's just, as you get into doing all sorts of different things, you've got a lot of things to keep track of. So OneNote is a great way to do it. And speaking of collaboration, in OneNote, you could set up different tabs for things, and you could share. I could share the whole kit and caboodle, or I could share a specific tab with someone that we can both update at the same time. Again, another great way to share content with people. So
Google Docs does the same thing.
Google Docs does exactly the same thing, and you can actually see who's typing. You'll see their name next to the cursor moving, and Google Spreadsheet does the same thing, and all of those do the same thing. So they're really cool. So when you're in Chrome too, you'll notice that most of you maybe don't know this is here, but these little buttons up here, these little dots, those are your Google apps that you can get to. So if I want to go to my Google Drive, I just click there, and I don't even bother downloading Drive on my computer anymore, because the folder, everything's right here. It's just bam, I'm there, and it's really slick. And so you can go to Google Drive at any time, and it's really, really simple to use. And at any time, you can click on a folder, and you can share it with someone. Share it just by right-clicking and hit share. Put someone's email in, they get it, and now you guys can collaborate on the same document. You can also control who sees what, and if people have the ability to edit or not, you can turn that on and off. So that's really cool too. But yeah, pay attention to these little dots. It's really cool how you can get around to your different applications. Calendars, you can set up as many different calendars as you want. When you click on the three little dots, you can go into settings and sharing, and you can share specific calendars with people. I have a little birthdays and anniversary calendar that I share with my family, so that as we add more birthdays and things like that, everybody has that calendar, so that we know where when the birthdays are going to happen. So it's pretty cool how that works. These apps that Google has done are just phenomenal. It's just really something what they've done. John, what apps do you use quite a bit? And you got anything?
Using Google Calendar a lot, and Google Docs. Put together Google Docs the other day for a scope of work, so that myself and my lead carpenter could kind of put that all together. We could be working on it both at the same time.
Okay.
That worked really well.
Cool. How about you guys? I haven't been really watching the comments at all.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, we only got about 20 minutes left. So,
well, we'll go another 10 minutes because of that screw up I had at the beginning. So if you guys want to hang around a little longer, that's fine.
Yeah. But I just want to mention, our main goal is to make sure that we're covering things that are being helpful to you. So if you have specific questions or ideas that even could be shared with everybody, make sure you start putting those in there so we can start doing that.
Yeah. And we'll go back and review some of these too. Then that's going to give us good ammunition for topics that we bring to you in the future. So, I mean, as we're getting this set up, one of the things that goes into doing something like this is, I spent about 6 hours putting together different ideas and things just for the show, amongst all the other stuff I'm trying to get set up right now. And I just didn't get as much done as I wanted to. But as we bring in guests and things like that, and we have preparations that, and we prepare, and they'll have presentations that they'll bring to you. We want to bring things that you guys want to learn. So let us know, by all means. Working on a Chief project, should you work off a file on your hard drive? Chief Architect recommends, I've heard that, Chief recommends that, yeah, you should always put your files on your hard drive. You should never work out of Dropbox, and I 100% disagree with that comment totally. And John, I think you do too, don't you?
Well, actually, what I think is happening when I'm using mine is I'm sharing that file on my desktop and the Dropbox at the same time.
Okay.
That's where I was talking about doing the shared sync. So I think Chief is even though I go and click on the file in my Dropbox, I think Chief is going and working on it on my desktop. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that's the way it's working.
I don't know. What happens with me is I keep everything in Dropbox. And so when I'm working on Chief file, it's in Dropbox. Now, I want you to keep in mind that because I have Dropbox loaded on my computer, I am working off of my computer in Dropbox. So what they might be referring to is trying to work on Dropbox through an internet connection to your online account, which I don't even know that you can do that. Can you? Can you go to Chief and open an online Dropbox file from Dropbox online? I don't think you can you?
Well, that's what you would be doing if you're not syncing it to your desktop or your laptop.
So make sure that, again, when you are using Dropbox, that you are going into the online app, to the Dropbox, go into your Dropbox account and make sure you click the install under this thing and you install Dropbox on your computer. That way the file's on your computer, you work on it. The only time it syncs back up to Dropbox is after you close the file, okay? What Chief does is when you work on it, it opens that file in your computer's memory, your RAM. You work on it like crazy. You say, okay, I'm done using it, and you close it, and then it updates to Dropbox. Same thing when you're sending an email to someone. You have to close Chief for it to get out of the memory, get back on your hard drive, then you can send that file to someone. So that works pretty good. What are other people saying here? Scott says, do you use something to back up your Dropbox? It looks like Dan. Yeah, I'll show you that. What I use in just a second here. There's lots and lots of good options there. But Dropbox by itself is a backup because you have a separate, everything you put in your Dropbox is automatically put online as a backup, a separate file. So if someone stole my computer or the computer crashed, whatever, all of my files are safe on the Dropbox website. So I could just pull up another computer, log into my account, say, download all my files, and you'd be good to go. You're also using Market Sharp, great app, that app, but if contracting, I probably would. I believe John's correct. Keep backup drive. Okay, cool. Jason, I missed a bunch of comments from earlier when I was trying to do that.
You're fine. We were just talking about stuff.
Okay. Hey, Paul. So. You must be very careful and up with 2 copies. Yep. So understood. All right, cool. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about some other things that you can do to John, you got anything you want to add to this conversation so far? That we've been talking about?
Not right at the moment.
Okay. All right, good. Okay. Well, as long as people ask, let's talk about backup. Here's what I use for backup. I use a little app called Good Sync, it's called. All right, you might have noticed when you saw my folder, my hard drives, that I have 5 hard drives listed here. 3 of those are actually on my computer. These 3 right here. I have
we can't see your screen.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay. It would help if I would show that. Let me try that again.
Saw it for a second there, but
Yep. I'm just trying to find the right screen. There it is. There you go. Seeing it now? Oh, you will.
Yep.
Okay. So
can't see us, but we can see your screen.
True. Yep. So what I have on my computer is I have 3 hard drives. And again, everybody's going to have different situations. If it's a laptop, it might be different. But I also have 2 plug-in drives, okay, that I have stuff on. I mean, over the years, I've accumulated a lot of stuff. And then I have my Dropbox, and I have my OneDrive account. Here's all my files in my OneDrive. I do download OneDrive files to my computer, just like I do my Dropbox. Okay, and so when I'm working with backing up, I've actually set this up. All right, where to go here? So that this PC, so that I put all my applications on my C drive. These are all solid state drives, by the way. So I put all my apps here. I'm sorry, this is a solid state drive. These are not, okay? These are 2 8-terabyte hard drives that I have on my computer. I put all my apps on this drive. I put all my data on my D drive. Everything that I'm working on goes on my D drive, okay? I use GoodSync to make a backup copy of everything onto my E drive. So I actually have 2 drives that'll match all the same time. So if I lose a drive, I've got a complete backup of it, a daily backup of the information. All right. I have these other drives where I just keep some old archive stuff and some other things like that. So I kind of, some things I'll have backed up on 3 drives. I have these drives are, hidden in my closet and hooked up by a cable and stuff. And so, once in a while, I'll kind of update some things to this drive. Although I could use GoodSync to automatically back up to multiple drives if I wanted to. So I like GoodSync. It's $30 a year. Basically, I go in here and I say, what do you want to back up? This is the drive I want to back up. This is where I'm backing it up to. All right. And then I go in here and I set to auto run so that every night at 2 a.m., when I shouldn't be working, but I am sometimes, it'll automatically just back it up to my drive. So I've automatically got 2 backups of the same thing at once. So again, if a drive fails, you don't have to worry about it. Now, if someone steals my computer, I'm screwed because both those drives are on one computer. And that's why I, again, keep some of my stuff on some separate portable drives. The other thing I like to do is just remember that I've got Dropbox. Everything that's in my Dropbox can be accessed anytime from any computer, and I can automatically download it to any computer I want. So if my computer dies, someone takes it, whatever, all my data is safe in the cloud. Now, there's tons of other cloud applications. Anybody got any recommendations on their cloud apps on what they use? Western Digital is a great NAS, whatever that means. I don't know a lot of these things. There's 3 PC workstations in my office. Should you use Dropbox or a server? That's a really good question. I mean, a server is just, basically that's your own cloud device. Mm-hmm. So you could hook as many different computers to it. I would suggest, if you have really great internet, I'd just use Dropbox. But maybe not. It depends on what you're trying to do. That's, servers are above my pay grade. I've never done a server. I don't know how to do them. I know it's probably not much different than hooking up a Dropbox thing. So, John, you know anything about that?
I don't know enough about it to really make a comment, but it just seems to me like Dropbox would cover the same thing.
Yeah.
And unless you've already got a server, it doesn't seem like it'd be worth the investment to do that.
Yeah. It's, servers can be expensive and you've always got to maintain them. And it's just one more thing to keep track of. That's a really good question. That would be another class, I think. As chief program, I see and everything on my D drive, but it seems I have other chief data folders on both drives. Yes, when you're working with chief, you will have all your data folders will be put into your My Documents folder. Documents folder is what they call it. Okay, let me get back to this. So when you're in Chief, you have the Documents folder and all your data. This is where Chief stores all of that data. All right. Now, Chief does put files in other places. So you have to be aware of that. And, one way to look at that is to go to Preferences. So when you go to Preferences in Chief and you go to Folders and you can hit Show. And Chief will show you where all of the data is stored on your computer. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on. Okay. Now, do you really need to be concerned about all that? Nah, probably not. As long as you have plenty of hard drive space on your, because a lot of the stuff is stored on my C drive. You do notice I have some things stored in my Dropbox, okay, on my D drive, okay, my bonus library, my core library, user and database folder. Do I have those on there? I guess I do. I thought I didn't keep them on there anymore. Let me show you a little trick that you can do. Why is it going there? I didn't think I put all that stuff there.
I think those are the ones that are synced to your computer, aren't they?
Well,
Dropbox.
it might just have to do with this, my user library. So what I do on my computer is, if you go into preferences and you go to folders, what you could do is use library folders, and you can sync I like to sync my user library. My other libraries, I'll just do those on each computer, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. So I can sync these folders to different places. So what I've done is, on my desktop, I've synced my user catalog to that folder on my Dropbox. Then I went to my laptop and I did the same thing, synced it to the same folder. So my user library is exactly the same all the time on both my machines. Okay, so whatever's on each machine gets put together in one user catalog. So that's really kind of nice. So when I add something to my computer here in my library, it's automatically going to be on my library. That's right, they move it. So in my user catalog, everything I put here will automatically be on my laptop or whatever device I've pointed that folder to. So it really does work nice. So you could be working on any device and keep that up to date. So if you're in a company that has multiple users of Chief Architect, you could have one person that's the lead user library folder person that kind of manages everything. And you could then have them sync, keep track of it, and then set that up, and then everybody else could sync to that. And what I would recommend, if you do that, is in the folder, if people are going to be adding stuff to the folder, don't just add it to the base folder, create a folder with their names on it. So this might be Jim and George and Janet and, Sally, and, have them put their stuff in their folders so that they're not, mixing up all the main folders. And then as the lead folder manager, you could then kind of keep track of everything. Anyway, something to think about. Where do we leave off? I save my Chief files on my desktop and OneDrive. Yep, that works too. I mean, really, whatever works for you. There's no real written rule on what you have to do, as long as your files are safe. I guess that's kind of the key. Have OneDrive and share folders between 10 salespeople. We also use Market Sharp. Perfect. Yeah, Market Sharp's a cloud app, so everybody's going to have access to it. Who is that, by the way? Home Pro. Oh, that's Drew. Hi, Drew. Al, keep a backup drive. Yes, you should. Not a bad idea. Western Digital. Am I going the right direction here?
I think you want to go the other way. There you go.
It's best for adding some extra drive, backup drive on a laptop. Depending on your laptop, you can buy. I mean, if you've never seen a solid state drive, they're pretty tiny. In many laptops, you can just swap out the smaller drive for a larger one. A lot of laptops now, it's just a chip too. It's not even a little drive. It's just a little bitty. It's a chip that you put mount on the motherboard that holds more files. So you could even, a lot of laptops will allow you to add extra storage to them. So just check which laptop you have and see what you got. In worst case, you could use the thumb drives they make nowadays are huge. I mean, you can have a lot of storage on your thumb drives.
That's the other whole thing about using Dropbox is you can tell Dropbox or some of these other applications to just sync up the files that you're currently using.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't fill up your hard drive, your hard drive on your laptop then.
Right.
Because you're only gonna access those files that you're not currently working on from the cloud, and it's not gonna put it on your computer at all.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You need to look at them.
Okay, a few more things here. Carbonite's a good backup option. I've heard that's been around a long time. So if you want something that automatically keeps all your files synced, you can do that. Some of these online backup places are really nice in that you don't have to upload 10 terabytes worth of stuff, depending on your internet. I mean, if you have fiber optics now, of course, that's pretty simple. But sometimes you might want to just do, for some of these places, you can actually send in your drive and they'll back it up for you. And then if you ever crash, they'll send you a drive back with all the information on it, because downloads could be small. I don't know if you need that anymore or not, but I'd like for more than one person to work on a file. Again, the chief architect's not made that way. What you can do in chief, though, is if you get your building together, someone could work on all the, one floor, or someone could work on all the electrical, and then you could copy and paste in place from one plan to another. It becomes a bit of a tricky proposition that you have to use to do that. My logo's blocking many things. All right, thank you. How do I get that? I can turn that off. How do I do that? Brand. Oops. How do I?
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Let's see what else shows up. Again, we're learning. We're learning, you guys. Show display names. We want that, don't we?
Yeah.
The names are always hidden when sharing a comment banner. Okay. There's just a few settings in here. All right. So back to this. Excuse me a second. I gotta go grab some water. I'll be right back. John, you can talk.
All right. There's a comment there about cabinet drawers and stuff like that. I don't know if Dan will want to cover it, but this what we're doing today is mostly about just design, not about chief necessarily. So,
all right,
those questions we'll answer in another forum.
What's that?
About chief, how chief actually works. We have a question there about cabinet schedules and stuff.
Yeah, this is not a chief architect forum, although we are going to cover a couple of chief things real quick here. Thursday, I've got a Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I do have a class. What is it called? 10 techniques to draw your plans faster. Yeah, so we do these once a month. So if you go down here on the homepage, yeah. So that's going to be Thursday at 4 o'clock. This is all chief. We talk nothing but chief in this class, although we'll throw in a few things every now and then. And you do have the ability to ask questions in this one too. So this will last 90 minutes. So these are free to attend live. And then if you're interested, you can. We do have a lot of past shows that we've done, webinars that we've done. I think there's close to 35 or 40 past shows in the vault, in the Pro Academy area that you can subscribe to if you want to. All right. Where was I, John?
I was thinking maybe talking about file names, how to name your files so you can go find the one that you want to find.
Yeah, that's a good point. John and I both do basically the same thing when we do that. Where did my...
like you're working on a plan and you start taking a different direction, so you do a save as, and now you can't remember where you were at for the other one. You can't go find your file or something like that. Might be a good to go through that.
Sure. All right, so let's go. Okay, when you are naming your files, again, a computer is a place to find things, not a place to store things. Well, it's really both. So when you're creating plans, you're gonna generate a lot of files. You're gonna have pictures. You're gonna have plan files, layout files. You're gonna have DWGs. You're gonna have a whole bunch of different kinds of things. It's true with everything. So it's a really good idea to kind of keep things organized. I do it by year. All right. So when New Year starts, I start a new folder, and then I just start keeping all my client files within those folders. And as I'm working on plans, and I know, John, you do basically the same thing. So if I go to this client, for example, and so I'm always starting new plans. Okay, since the beginning of the year, you can see that I'm always starting. Every day that I open, well, not every day, but really a lot, quite often, I'll open a plan and I'll do a save as, and I'll put the current date in front of that. So I can look down my list here and I can see that, 4/28 is the last time I worked on, 4/27. I put the physical date right in the file name. John, you do it by year, 2020-4-2704.
That's 04. That's
yeah. Yeah, you got to put the zeros in so they stay organized, and that's actually a better way to do it. Putting the year first. If you have a longer list with longer dates, it keeps things organized a lot better. If you do the year first, I think when I do my, where'd this go here? Dropbox. So I keep photos by year. Well, here I just done it by year. So all my personal photos, I've always kept them very, very organized, and I try to create folders and put separate things in separate folders. I used to be really diligent at this, and have all the different dates for the different things that I do. It's really fun to go back and look at these. It's the same thing with your plans. Yeah, here's a good example again, but I've done because it's just by the year, I just keep it like that. So not a bad idea. Now, another thing, let's move on a little bit from this file stuff and talk a little bit about a few of these apps for collaborating, sharing things. Your PDF files, okay? John, did you want to add anything about file management?
I'm just going to mention that the only other thing that I do, especially when I'm working with somebody else, I'm helping somebody or I'm drawing a plan for somebody, but they're going to have access to it. I have another folder that's working folder or something like that, and that's where I keep my current plan that I'm working on in that folder. So if somebody else looks for it, they just have to go to that working folder, and they'll know that that's the last one that I've worked on.
That's a good idea. So you would have a folder, and like for this project, I would say sugar. You'd have a folder there.
So I would have an archive folder and a working folder there.
Yep.
And I would also go far as to have a PDF folder, which is probably where you're going to go, a photos folder, and things like that. And I would organize that job with those 5 or 6 different folders.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it when you're sharing files, because then there's no mistake on which file was the last one you're working on, because the most current one is the only one in the current folder.
Yeah.
So
that's really important if you're sharing with people, because it never fails. Somebody will get on an older folder and start working on it, and all the work they did the last 3 days is gone.
Yeah, no, it's a really good idea. So, all right, cool. All right, we're going to go another 10 minutes here because of the slow start I had. Will this be available after? Yeah, these are streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and they'll be available on my blog, on my website. So these recordings will always be there, so you can come back and watch them. I will cut that beginning garbage out of the front where I was messing up so bad. I promise we'll get this down yet where we start right on time and it'll be all set to go. This is only our second time, so we're still learning. Paul, wow, you do a save it as many times as you open the plan to work on. It's a ton of data, but there's been a lot of times, Paul, where I've gone back and I said, God, that plan I worked on 3 weeks ago, it had some stuff that I did that I would like to get back, because maybe I've deleted some things in my current plan. So I go back to that, get it copied in the plan I'm working on. And yeah, I do it all the time. Although you can do that in your archives folder as well. Just FYI for you guys. When you go to your documents folder, if you've ever had a problem with Chief and it's crashed, you might have thought you've lost something. Chief, every day that you open your plan, and then every time, I think throughout the day, if you do it again, I'm not sure, but Chief will save a copy of your plan for you automatically. So you could go date modified. And so here's some plans that I've opened today that Chief has actually made a copy. So Chief is always making copies of your plans for you. You can see you can get a pretty long list of files that are saved. So you can clean that out every now and then. You don't need to save it. But if you've ever had a hard crash where you've lost data, you can always get it back from your archive folder. I've had to do that a number of times. And it's helpful. I imagine you've done that too, John, once in a while, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I think it was.
First for easily yearly searches and searching. Yeah, that's true. Searching by date, good way to do it. Edit, where do you save the project when it starts in 1 year and goes over the next year? Depends, Edit. By the way, hi, how are you? What I'll do sometimes is if I'm kind of in the middle of a project, I'll just copy the entire project folder from 2019 into 2020. So that way I've got everything. If I've had other projects that I've done for the same client, I just leave those in the old folder and bring the new ones forward. It doesn't matter. It's just so as long as storage space is cheap now, so it doesn't really take anything to get that storage. We have folders by discipline. Yeah, and a lot of people do that too. Within their project folders, I've seen pictures, plans, MEPs. So whatever works for you. I know everybody's going to have different ways of doing things within their business because, Steve, you have a lot more people in your company and you have a lot more things you have to keep track of, a lot more people accessing files. For me, it's just me. John, it's you and your daughter and maybe your client. Me, it's me and my clients. And so it doesn't get to be a ton of stuff. But let's just talk about a few other quick things that are really useful. PDFs. All right. So when you're sharing PDFs, sometimes your files are too large to email. And this is true for any of your files. So what you might want to use is a little program called WeTransfer.com. Great program. It's let's see, where am I here?
Dropbox has a transfer option now too.
Oh yeah, that's true. You could click on it. Does it do the same thing where it sends an email to the customer that you got a file and then it tells you that they've got it?
Gives them like 6 or 7 days to open it.
Yep. Okay. I haven't seen that, so I haven't used that. So with WeTransfer, you go to WeTransfer.com, choose the free plan, put in an email, upload your file, put in an email, type a message, hit transfer. You can do up to 2 gigabytes per file. What WeTransfer does, it holds it for 7 days. As soon as it's uploaded, the client, whatever emails you put here, so you can put multiple emails here too. And it sends an email to your clients, whoever you're sending it to, then it'll send you an email too when they retrieve the file. So you always know that someone's downloaded the file, which is kind of nice. I really like that. You can also subscribe for $125 a year, and you can do, I think, up to 10 terabyte. No, 10. You can do really large transfers. I think really, really large. I believe almost, I don't know if it's a terabyte or what, but you can do a ton. For $120 a year, you can really transfer a ton of files, and it keeps them forever. So this is another way to back up your stuff, is to subscribe, sign up for a WeTransfer account. So it's a really wonderful system. I've been using it for years and years. Okay, where was I here? PDFs. What am I looking for?
You were just talking about transferring files. You hadn't gotten to Snagit yet, or Chief Architect, what you want to talk about there?
No. All right. So your PDF files, use the PDF printer within Chief Architect. I think most people are already doing that. So when you go file print, you can create PDFs right out of Chief. And if you're doing your layout pages, you can specify page 1 to 10, and it creates a 1 PDF file with 10 pages. So that's really a nice way to do it. If you have a program like Adobe Acrobat, and I'm not sure if you can do this with the free version of Acrobat, because I have the paid one. I think I pay $16 a month to have the full version of Acrobat because I use it for more things. I will, within Acrobat, I can do a whole bunch of different things. So if I had, if you had multiple, where am I here? I don't really like their interface that much, but it does work once you figure it out. If you had multiple PDFs in one folder, you can group select them and right click on them and say make into one PDF file. I really like that function a lot because a lot of times I get people sending me 20 different single PDF pages of something, and it's a real pain to keep them, to open them. But if you're using Adobe Acrobat, you can combine them into one file. There's probably apps online you could do that too. Just Google combine PDF files, and I'll bet you can do the same thing. Have a municipality know a virus situation that they want plans in vector PDF. Is this different? No, Chief is going to create a vector PDF. So that's exactly what it's doing. So any CAD program, when they print their plans, they will be vector format. So that's the format that it sends to the PDF file. Foxit Phantom PDS has a reduced file size function that, oh, there you go. So there's another program. If you Google PDF software, you'll come up with a dozen different good PDF softwares that you could probably use just fine. Let's see. You need, okay, yeah. So you do need the actual Acrobat program, not the free one, to be able to do your PDF files. A couple more things, and we'll call it a day here. Again, if you have any questions, suggestions, next week we're going to talk about collecting as-built information from your desk. Okay, so you got to go measure a building. What are some of the things that you can do in advance of going out to measure the building? John and I have been doing this a long time. Got a bunch of information to share on that. Hopefully some of it will be helpful for you. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about actually doing as-built out in the field and some of the tools you use and things like that. So that's kind of what we're thinking of for the next few weeks. Again, we're always open. We're looking for suggestions. I mean, we have a ton of ideas, but we really want to do what you guys are looking for. So we'll hope you enjoy the as-built thing. I know everybody has to measure buildings, and I've seen a lot of bad as-built out there. And I know you have too, John.
Yep. Done a few myself.
Huh? Done a few yourself?
Myself that weren't so great.
And how much did they cost you?
More than I want to say.
I've seen as-built.
Even if it costs a trip back to the site to measure it again, it's too much.
That is too much, yeah. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with a program called Snagit. It's a really nice program that you can have on your screen that will minimize itself to wherever you put it. And whenever you want to capture something, so if I want to capture this, I can do that. And I can say capture that image, a video, whatever. Snagit's one of the best programs I've seen. Now I can add some notes to it. I could scribble on this, do whatever I want, and just really mark this up if I want to. And then I could just go share, and from this screen I could email that image right to my client, or I could save it as an image, and bam, done. So it's really a nice program. I use it all the time, every day. I use it a lot. I'll be capturing images from Google Earth, from just all over the place. So another great collaboration tool when you're working on different things. If you need to get something to somebody quickly, Snagit's a great choice. Thanks, guys. Had to jump. Steve, nice seeing you. Edit. Thanks for the info. Okay, I think we're done. I didn't get to some of the things within Chief, but we will. So thanks everybody for showing up. Really appreciate it. John and I promise we will get better at this as we go. This is only our second time of doing this format. The replays can be found in YouTube, Facebook, and in our blog. That's part of this whole streaming thing is, oh, there's our groups again, is once we're done, it's there, ready for you to go anytime you want to. Feel free to add comments, do whatever you want. So thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next Friday at noon. Bye now.